Right, I'm not sure I'm gonna do this because I'm sat in my bed and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and I've got all these sheets out everywhere, and this is the phone that's kind of broken and that's my best phone, but I wanted to read that bit off it. Got this printed out, Book of Kells, which also can flip over the other way. Start with it that way. I've got these sheets printed out about the list of Celtic gods and goddesses, and basically what I'm gonna do is I think you can do all the Celtic god and goddesses in this one picture. So I'm just gonna work through them. There's quite a lot of pages here, and then I found this with a few more gods and goddesses on. I'm not. So it starts with a later. Well, I've just got this. I'm gonna get into it anyway. I'm gonna do it this way, right? So first we're gonna do this, right? Borvo. I don't know how you pronounce these, right? But this is Borvo. Borvo Bovanus Bormo was a Gaelic god of healing, springs, whom the Romans associated with Apollo. He's depicted with a helmet and shield. So Apollo, right? It says for Apollo has been recognised as a god of archery, right? Archery, music, dance, truth, prophecy, healing, diseases, the sun and light, poetry, and more. Poetry is the arts, basically, but obviously usually linguistic arts. So archery, sunlight, it's got helmet and shield. Right, so here we go. So here's the little dude with his arms holding a bow. There's his little bow. You can get small bows, and not all. Actually, a longbow's got a special term, a longbow, but it's a bow, right? So archery. Well, the sun and light, okay, or music. Well, that actually also can be a harp, and then we've also got like a trumpet shape here. They did actually have trumpets in medieval times of various kinds. As for light, well, we've got this also is a beam of light actually going into his eyes, if you want. What else we got? So, and here we've got healing spring and where's the helmet and shield? Well, he has got a little helmet on, right? And that also, when you hold a shield out, you can have shields like that as well. So that's like a triple. You can have a multiple. It can be multiple that bow, shield, and instrument. That can also be an instrument. His helmet. The actual entire shape of it's a helmet. If you flip it this way, you could say that's a crown or hat. But and the helm, the actual Celtic helmet itself, as I've shown in the other videos. This is from here to here is helm, but that's also the torque. The torque goes all the way around, and it's got the gap in it there. So that's Borvo. Now, some of these kind of have a bit of crossover between them. Belenus is a Celtic god of healing worshipped from Italy to Britain. The worship of Belenus was linked to the healing aspect of Apollo. The etymology of Beltane may be connected with Belinus. Belinus, also written Bel, Belinus, Belinos, Belinu, Belingus, Belus. Well, as for a bell, so the ringing and noise of the bell, this is actually shaped like the cochlea in your ear, which actually is what sound travels through when it actually vibrates in your beg your pardon, on your ear. And also, again, if we turn this way this time, right? If this is a little dude, right, with his arms out, an abstract dude, if not a cartoon character dude, but you know, you can have Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is not the most human-looking character, but we associate him with being human-like. So if he's reaching up the bell tower, they had the bells at the top, particularly at this era. They had those, in fact, those clog teach were called the bell towers, and they were separate from the congregation hall. So reaching up to the top of the bell tower, and actually, because the ring is inside the bell. So we've got some bells and sounds to do with hearing going on there as well. So, and then we've got I wanted to do, I could have done this a bit neater, but I just thought I'll just go for it sketchy style, like I'm just going to film it. Celtic god Alberich was associated with Mars. Mars Alberich is king of the world. Well, the king of the world, so there's a lot of gods associated with Mars, but mainly that's to do with the Romans and the Roman gods. I know we've got Marsden here, and it's now known as Marsden, but it was meant to be Morden, which is big. And actually, the word M-O-R is the start of the word for riding, to ride. Anyway, so we've got, I think that is, if I can get these in, I'll get them in. If you think that it's, too far out and you're not going to accept it, then that's up to you. I think I can get all these in reasonably. So we do have that, in my eyes, that qualifies as a crown shape. So I'm going to have that in for King of the World. So he's got a crown. And the whole thing is everything. All being, there is a group called Psychedelic Art is Everything. Now, if that ain't the human and the landscape and everything else in the world together, minerals pretending they're whales, Mr. Bond, and I don't know what it is. Right, this was the first page. I wanted to do those because I had to go on the other phone, and I wanted to get that other phone out of the way. So we've got a later. Was associated with Mars, again, the Roman god of war. They've got a lot of Marses. His name is said to mean he who nourishes the people. Well, so we've got, so a god of war, again, we've got a guy pulling back. He could be pulling back with this arm, a bow, or just holding it. So, if you got a bow, going to war, and nourishes. Well, also, as I said in one of the early videos I did a while ago, he's giving alms, Almsbury, Almbury, County Armagh, giving alms. So that could be, he's got something in his arms that he's collected that he's holding and reaching out to give. He could be collecting something from a basket, but that might fit in later as well, or handing out, holding or handing out. So we've got giving out nourishment and giving out alms, or berries. Could be berries, could be food. Can have that. Giving out nourishment through berries, or nuts, or whatever. So can have that one. Bres was a Celtic fertility god, the son of Formian Prince Aletha and the goddess of the Uri. Bres married the goddess Brigid. I think Brigid was a male because bridge and elongation is more of a male expression. I think they switched it when St. Patrick went over to drive the snakes out of Ireland, because the snake's an elongation as well. But that's up to you to whether you want to let us have that one or not. Bres was a tyrannical ruler, which proved his undoing. Exchange for his life, Bres taught agriculture and made Ireland fertile. Okay, so agriculture. I think that I'm gonna use some of these twice because I think they fit multiple times, which is always good if you can get multiple meanings out of things, because it saves having to draw it multiple times. So if you've got seeds, holding seeds and planting seeds, then you can have that for agriculture. Brigantia, Bridget. I thought Bridget and Brigantia were the same, but British goddess connected with river and water cults, equated with Minerva by the Romans, and possibly linked with the goddess Bridget. Well, we know that this part here is, we can have Bridget, particularly it makes a long barrow shape as well. It makes a nice perfect long barrow. And when you Bridget is a projection outwards, or to bridge 2 points. So he's bridging 2 points here. Cattle, poetry, fertility, smiths. Well, that's bridged. So river water and water cults. So I think that you can have river water and water cults, you know. Water, river and water cults. So, you know, water is, if you have liberties and you get, the first thing you get is like the ripples, the wave, and then it goes into the, if you get like full on, you get the whole kind of mechanical machine parts and pixelated breakdown of everything, which is the whole thing. But it is considered an ocean in a way, kind of like when you're in the ocean and you see all the tiny air bubbles and the whole kind of, you get the whole feeling of the ocean. So go like the whole thing, really. I know that might be pushing it for people who aren't really. You see, you've also got the water droplets as well. You know, when you have raindrops, these are actually like raindrops as well. A lot of these. So for water, I'm going to have that. And even dipping your hand into the water, you know, or even being under the water and holding your breath, because like, how would you have an expression to hold oxygen in your mouth? Because you have to hold your breath underwater. Then you have your mouth closed, and like air in your cheeks, and then that's the water line up there. I know that's kind of pushing it, but we've got to be creative with this. Bridget is a Celtic goddess of fire, healing, fertility, poetry, cattle. Well, this way around, he's got the cattle horns. Patroness of smiths, healing, fertility, fire. So, you know, and the shape of flames, I mean, it's got, you can have these for water droplets and flames, because the funny thing about water and flames is that you water drop and a flame kind of form the same shape. And orange actually is the colour of fire, so it's actually more the colour of fire than water. But you know, I'm not going to argue about colours. Some of these have got blue in anyway. You might think I'm pushing it a bit there, but I said that I'd try and get all these in. It's just a little bit of a kind of see if we can do it. Cerwydn is the Celtic shape-shifting goddess of poetry and inspiration. She keeps a cauldron of wisdom and is the mother of Tyson. So if that ain't a cauldron as well, as dipping his hand into, and if that ain't shape-shifting and moving around, if you'd see the, I'd like to see the animated version of this. In fact, out of everything that you would ever think would be on a website in the old world, I wonder, I would have thought some of the Irish, you know, graphic designer people in Dublin or somewhere would have done a full animated version of this, a really, really detailed one, you know, like Casino Royale, at the start of Casino Royale. Maybe there is on a website, maybe, but no, there's a cartoon, isn't there? I think there's a cartoon now, come to think of it. There's a cartoon and it's animated and it's got a certain amount of animation in it, but I don't think it's quite kind of like to what I was thinking of. I don't know if it's actually called the Book of Kell's cartoon or if it's in another Irish cartoon, but there is an anime. Somebody has done some sort of animation to a certain extent. I'm not sure if it's just that picture, and it doesn't go on and on and on and on. It's kind of like it's part of the cartoon. Right. Sewardin. So yeah, we've got those in there. The cauldron and the whole shape-shifting thing is quite funny because that's quite pretty much says it all. So for Cern Unerus, we go back around this way again. It's definitely got the Cern Unerus stag antlers like on the cauldron, the Gunderstruck cauldron anyway. So that's definitely Cern Unerus without a question. Horn god associated with fertility in nature. Fruit. What did I say about earlier on? Handing out nourishment and fruit. We've got that in there. Grains, and then the underworld. Well, if it's the underworld, if that's on top, then surely being below the line is the underworld underneath. A ram-headed serpent. Well, he's got the serpent. Like these are like this snake serpent. We've also got this as well, and it's kind of like got a shape. Cern Unerus is born at the winter solstice and dies at the summer solstice. Julius Caesar associated Cern Unerus with the Roman underworld god Dispater. I don't know if that's meant to be Pan, because Pan blows the pipe. You know, didn't he have a flute or something, a bone flute or something? So you could have this as his flute if you wanted to, or if you wanted to have it more in line with his mouth, then you know you can have that if you want. But if you don't want, then that's up to you. I'm leaning on my arm and I'm getting pins and needles. So I'm pretty sure that the guys who did this, they thought, because we're getting in 800 is like, you know, Christianity, but you've still got some Celtic influence. Maybe they wanted to try and preserve something, but not make it too obvious. If they spent so many years doing this, they really thought about it and planned it out. You know, like see if we can get everything in there. They weren't messing around. Romans adopted a Richard Temple tour in Rome. Did they? You see, it's like bridging. You know, you got the orders traveling around. They've got churches all over, so they travel from place to place. So you know, this reaching out of the arms and bridging. There's that picture of one of the. Is it as if it's which is that Edward the Confessor or something holding that church model, holding the church model in his arm, isn't he? The actual model of the actual church, in a small way. So it's as if it was based on this, and he's got his. I think he's like bridging the gap between two places as well, which you could have England and Ireland, or you could have Ireland and Italy, or whatever you want. Jesus was a Gaelic god named along with the Tyrannus and Tuteate Ceres linked with Mercury and Mars and rituals of human sacrifice. He may have been a woodcutter. Well, I don't buy into the whole human sacrifice thing, to be honest. I think that a lot of it's kind of misunderstood and exaggerated. We've had loads of Mars ones anyway. A lot of these kind of like end up being repeating, but axe and chopping wood. So I actually think, you know, if it's a one-piece thing, it has an axe, and you could get axey with that if you wanted to, as well as bow. It can be a lot of. We'll call it a very abstract implement. And at the end of the day, if you've got a couple of pixels on a screen, it can be out. Particularly if you're tripping out. Labitus was a Celtic god worshipped in Austria. Why is it on this sheet then? Labitus was a god of mountains and sky, equated with Roman Jupiter. Well, we've got this. When we go this way around, we get into the kind of eyes and the astral observations above. All these circle things can be planets. Yeah, so there's only 8 sheets for this one, and the other one's got Lenus. I think there's a lot of ones on here that more Roman ones. Lenus was a Celtic healing god, sometimes equated with the Celtic god Ivon Tucaris and the Roman god Mars, who in his Celtic version was a healing god. Linus, well, is that not a letter L shape? So I think the thing about healing is it happens from within your body. So you actually within the skin, the molecules and cells actually repair. You know, if you cut yourself or if you're ill, you know, like your own cells and your own. They used to have the four. What was it called? The four. What was the Spanish model? Is that the human? Not they had like, you know, like bile, like bile, gas, air. I forgot what they call that. We learned it at college. The four not the four. There was four different aspects, kind of like four different elements that they had. Used to call them. Bile was one of them, but it was to do with like healing and disease and stuff. So like, I mean, it's getting all like, you know, skin cells and molecular aspects in that anyway for healing, and the body is automated. It's because someone like automated the whole biological system anyway. Lug is a god of craftsmen, a solar deity, also known as Lamphada, as leader of the Tuatha Lug defeated the Formotions in the second. So the thing with lugs is we call our ears lugs now, like ear hole. And what's in your ear hole is a cochlea, which is like this shape, and it's aligned with his ear anyway. Lug. I think they don't actually fully understand that lug god, to be honest. But craftsmanship. So, you know, when you're actually making things, the illumination is craftsmanship. What is this? Never mind what we look at in the picture. What's it made out of? It's made out of the whole Book of Kells is a work of craftsmanship itself, bound. So if you think outside of the box a little bit more to what the picture's of, what's the picture made of, and by what means was it made? Think outside of the box. What is the book? Craftsmanship. Got craftsmanship. Maponus was Celtic god of music and poetry, but in France some city of Apollo. So we've got, you know, we've got the instruments on here, and musical instruments. Med B, well, Med B is in this printout, and there's a lot of pages here to go through. Med B, Mead birth. It's like mead, isn't it? You know, like when you get the old beer used to be called mead. I think it's something pronounced to do with that. Mave, the Mave. In a knave, what is a knave? Is a knave like a knight or not a squire? It's goddess. Mave is a goddess of Connaught, cones and noughts. Like Celtic roundhouses, a cone on top of a knot. And Leinster, she had many husbands and figured in the Tain Coig cattle raid of. I don't know, because I'm on the last page now. And that last. Oh no, it was underneath, but I haven't printed it out. The cattle raid of something. So, cones and knots. I mean, we've got plenty of knots on here. That's also the spiral, actually. That kind of, I should have known that. We've got plenty. There are plenty of cones. It's got cones all over it. It's made out of cones. Mead. You could be making mead out of hops there, if you want to really stretch it. What isn't it? What berries and herbs hasn't he got in his hands there? She had many husbands. Well, that is, looking this way around, it is quite male looking, to be honest, because it looks like his little beard. But as for partners, I mean, this is a male character, a little male character blended into this. So, you know, if you want to put a partnership in between two, but I think it looks, if it's going to be female out of any of them, it looks more female, that around, that way around, you know. There might even be some more little characters in here. Look, there's one there. That's like a little character. I haven't actually got the 100% clear version of this because when you blow it up, I need a really, really good version. I think there are some other characters in here besides him and that one there. It's almost like a face in there. You could have many. Oh, and I think there's one in the middle of there. Now I'm picking them up because I've never really. Well, there is detail when you go out on the computer screen, but I've printed it out and blown it up, so it kind of goes, there's someone else there. So we've got loads of little husbands figured into it, and it's that way around that it looks more feminine, female face. So you know of that as well. Just the Morrigan. Why is it the Morrigan? In Celts, did they use the word the? I don't think they did, but Morrigan. On this, in that other write-up, it says the Morrigan. Morrigan is a Celtic goddess of war who hovered over the battlefield as a crow or raven. She's been equated with Medby Badbamactra. Well, she's equated with everyone, isn't she? Who isn't she equated with? Namai may have been aspects of her, or she... Well, they don't really know, do they? So this is just general. Was part of a Trinity War goddess with Badbamactra. The hero, Ku Chilean, rejected her because, oh yeah, I know this, failed to recognise her when he died. Failed to recognise her. You might fail to recognise someone if you've only got two pictures to work with, but apparently they can be everything and everyone. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. You know, failed to recognise them. Are you lot failing to recognise every single Celtic god that I'm getting into this picture? If you fail to recognise it, you might have even failed to recognise that it could have been freaking Morrigan. You know, you might if you don't doubt, don't be the doubter, don't be like Kukul Chain. Don't doubt that this is the Morrigan. Do not doubt it, or you fail to recognise her. I mean, we could have some wings going on up here, but you know, she might not be in the crow form. No, don't fail to recognise it. That's what I say. Liliana was the Celtic goddess of seafarers, fertility and abundance. Well, we've got abundance in this basket of fruits flowing out from everywhere. And the healing again. You know, when you've got the healing from one interpretation, you've got the healing on fucking all of them. You know, what hasn't got the healing on it? Nuada, or Nerthus, was a Germanic fertility goddess. You know, so I'm just trying to... An invincible sword that would cut his enemies in half into two pieces, right? He lost his hand in battle, which meant that he was no longer eligible to rule as king until his brother made him a silver replacement. Oh, really? Oh, that's like on Star Wars with Luke Skywalker, isn't it? He was killed by the god of death. Bladder. Well, for death, right? This is general fertility anyway. And it's got aspects of like breasts in it. In fact, I'm starting to kind of get like, if that's the breast and then that's the mouth, then you've got another further above here. You see, you can trip out into go. So like, if this changes to mouth and then you've got two eyes, then you've got the breasts. You know. In fact, that looks like can be the jacket then, and then the breast could be peeping out from. She could be flashing. You know. You can get it in this one. It's done so you can do it. But I'm going, what's this one? Oh, he had a sword that cut his enemies in half. Well, the thing is, you're in two pieces, and it's the thing is, it's in two, innit? There's two major ways of looking around at it. Now, the thing is, right, that the hand, well, it's all about the hand, isn't it, reaching out. It's all about reaching out. Or if one's, you see there, he's actually drawn, he's done abstractly, right? So you could even say that, you know, that's the end of the arm and the hand's missing, right? So if you want to interpret it as the hand's been cut off, you know, and on here there's no hand. So, you know, you can have that if you want to have that in there as well. But his invincible sword, you know, there are swords all over this, because, you know, if you want to have that as the sword with the hilt there, you know, you can have that, because there is one there. Or other than that, you know, it's got, if you want to have, you know, the sword here with a hilt, you can do that. It will fit. And then that hand one's really good. That fits in really well. I'm quite happy with that one. With a silver hand. That's great. And also healing as well, as if he's kind of like I said previously. Citada was a Celtic goddess from the Tyne Valley in England. Oh, really? We had some YA, man. Man. Citada was a Celtic goddess from the Tyne Valley and Deck in England, whose name may mean goddess of grief. Well, kind of looks a bit grieving there, doesn't it? Shock horror. I'd say that's a bit more female around that way, even though it's meant to be synonymous. But you know, he sacrifices his beard when he gets his horns out, when he gets horny. So that's those 8 sheets. I think I've done well with those. So I've got like all these ones from this thought.co got in there, and actually there was some really good ways how they fit in. I don't know if anyone's done this little thing before. See if you can get all the Celtic gods into that one picture. Maybe someone in Ireland, some Irish brogue might brag. If I put this on Irish group, they won't like it. They won't. If I best them at Celtic mythology, they really won't like it. They won't be like, wow, that's great. You come with some Celtic mythology talk for us. And but if I'm from West Yorkshire in England, they won't like it. but they're meant to like the crack, though, the crake. But it's all right when they're having the crake, you know. I might like to have a bit of the crake as well. And is this the crake? I think they know that this is the crake anyway. So done that. Now let's see if we can get. The only thing is about 60 pages, I think, for this one here, and but because I could have just printed that out and say, okay, we'll just do all these ones from this website, but that hadn't got. This one tells you all the story of exactly. Look, it's got all these. The Dagda, the Bab, who they're related to, where they're from, all the stories of them, Lug, Sinunurus, Angus, Bridget, Danu. You see, we've got the bridge on there. The bridge, Morrigan. Morrigan's like more, isn't it? Morden. It's also like Morden, isn't it? You know there's something to do with more. Lugol's. Chain. In fact, I mean, this table gives a quick overview. The best known Celtic gods and goddess of mythology. Is that the Highlander, that guy? Is this all of them? Absolutely not. But it's the main body of Celtic gods that tend to crop up again and again in Irish mythology. Well, actually, to be honest, the ones in this one actually were the ones that weren't in this one, funnily enough. Quite a lot of the ones in there weren't in this tribe. Section 1 guide. Goddesses from the likes of the mighty Dagda to the powerful Danu. Each Celtic god and goddess has a colourful tale attached to them. it's, you know, maybe the person who wrote this is kind of subconsciously knows about this. It's like tails, in it, heads and tails. I wonder if it's where they got the. You know what I'm starting to think now, and I think somebody knows this anyway. That, you know, when they got the playing cards for the, you know, when you play cards, you know, Jack, King, Queen, Diamond, whatever, and you flip it over, and it can be either way around. But it's almost like that, in it, like this, and it's from the 800 AD, and I don't think playing cards came along until a bit later. Maybe they even developed from these, you know. And I think that's why they've got it in Casino Royale, you know. But you don't hear people talking about it like this, casual, like they just have it in their head in a little unthought bubble and then put it in the film. And then you're supposed to go, yeah, playing that card, is he? Dagda, goddess. Goddess is from the likes of each package. Dagda, so an important father figure in the Celtic mythology is Dagda, one of the good Celtic mythology gods. He's the father of Angus, Bodber, Dirg, Kermit, Medrin, Bridget. So he's like the father figure. So, I mean, it's almost like kind of putting your arms around your children or nurturing your children, really, I think. Father-like figure with a beard. I mean, it's got that vibe and feeling to it anyway, as if there were many gods. And obviously, you see, these big, this is a thing, right? These larger characters grow from the smaller shapes and characters. If this was, you know, it's like a living thing, you know. So where the children, you know, plants grow from seeds, and little baby humans, tiny, small humans, grow into big figures. So it's almost like, you know, father, God, and figure, like holding where all the gods originating from in one thing, you know. And we've got this. So he's got he said so powerful weapons to be a large club. I mean, you know that the thing is, you know that that Herne man in England, that chalk figure of that guy with the massive club and the erect phallic thing. There was, now the scientists reckon that it was done after the Battle of Hastings, after the invasion. So it's not actually prehistoric. You see, he could have been, when in 800s, when they wrote they will have written about these Celtic gods, because that's when they started writing things down, not just putting in pictures like this, and actually, you know, name them and stuff like that, which will have done. You know, William the Conqueror might have thought, because if Dagda is the leader of the Trafford du Danann mighty, is the father of many other gods, you know, then obviously whoever did that drawing on the chalk plains in England, he might have, you know, sort of Dagda with a big club, you know, like kind of stating a more authoritative, you know, over the prehistoric, you know. If it was done, then apparently it's not prehistoric. Apparently we've tested it and it ain't that old. So, you know, there's that. I might as well mention that now, because I think that's important to say that. Apparently could slay 10 men with a single blow. You know. He also had a harp. Well, we said that in one of the earlier ones, that it can be a harp as well, used to summon the seasons, as well as a cauldron, cauldron, harp, morphic objects of the gods. Dagda had many lovers, and one of them was the Celtic goddess of war and fate, the almighty Morrigan. Well, we've already done Morrigan, haven't we? Danu is one of the oldest mythical beings in Ireland, often portrayed as a beautiful woman. This Celtic goddess is commonly associated with nature. Well, this is the female way around. And I think, you know, nature and all the leaves falling in autumn and, you know, blossoming fruit and stuff like that, he's got this all over it, and you can't lose that from it, you know. Danu is considered as the divine mother of the people of Dana, tribe of Celtic gods. She represents the aspects of regeneration wisdom, death, and prosperity. Well, if you have that ayahuasca and you go into the death experience, out body experience, well, that's the whole thing. And regeneration, I said that it's almost like little tiny cells repairing and stuff as well. Wisdom, you've got the whole stag horns with the ideas and the imagination forming above it. Anyway, I really think that they were doing this. Well, we'll do a cool picture and we'll get like as much as we can into it. You see, what is the historical side of affairs? Danu was not just a major Celtic god in Ireland. Somebody in Ireland's problem. I'm going to go into some Book of Kells and we'll compare my talk to their talk and you see the difference of what average talk on it is, unless somebody pops one up and then predate stamps it. In Ireland, her reputation earned her recognition in Britain and further afield. Lug. Well, it's a trickster god. And the thing about Logan, he's like Logan, he's kind of like Logan. You know Logan? There's actually a movie Logan. I ain't seen it, but I've seen Logan's featured in loads of different things over the years. Like the Joker in a way. The Celtic mythology god Lug was rarely mentioned in inscriptions, but this sun god of all crafts and arts was actually an important deity among the Celtic gods and goddesses. Well, the whole thing's a work of art and crafts anyway. I think the word lug kind of is something to do with like why we get this term lug for ears, and it is trickster. The very picture itself is its trickster form because it's gesturing caricatures that can be interpreted different ways and deceiving or mysterious or even now we're kind of trying to do you believe me or not, this is what trickster does, am I tricking you or aren't I? It's the whole thing of it, if you get that. Associated with ravens and thunderstorms, Lug was often portrayed. Well, they're all so which one have been associated with ravens? But with his magical spear, gay, a sail, helmet, and armour. Well, we've got the helmet either way around, and we've got the magic spear. It's definitely magic if it can keep changing what's at the end of it. What does gay mean? Gay sail, helmet and armour. Thunderstorms. Wonder if we can have this as lightning on that as well. He was a warrior and killed the one-eyed chief of the Fomori, the famous Balor, whom you read about in your guide to Celtic mythological creatures. According to legend, Lug was the divine father of the warrior Cuchulainn, one of the most famous heroes in Ireland. But he didn't recognise the Danu. Maybe he didn't recognise God. Maybe he didn't recognise, the divine Holy Spirit or whatever, something. I don't know. But he was kind of more of a warrior into being a warrior and a hunter type, not spiritual, maybe or something. So, like, he was a warrior and killed a one-eyed chief of the Fomori, the famous Balor. I'm going to try and get that one, I think. According to legend, Lug was divine father. So he's killed a one-eyed. I don't need to look for one eye, because if I only look at this, like the book's printed like that, yeah? If I only have one way of looking at it, I am limited in my vision. But if I, to have, two eyes or two ways of looking at it, then I go into the, I'm not looking at it in a singular way, like this is, just that. Then I go into a duality of vision, of sight, double sight rather than single sight. So by accepting and going into the vision, the double, the double and triple, multiple ways of looking. It's not singular looking at it. And then you could, some say the Cyclops had one Cyclops on his forehead. I mean, if you have it that way around, there's that. And that actually, when I said that if you want to go for women's breasts on this and a little bit of a face above, you can actually also like drop that one and keep that one as a clear circle. That's more abstract. You can say this horn here is just one, eye, although then it's kind of a bit far out. But I said, can you fit it in or not? If we go into this area here. But I think that way of looking at it is more of a meaningful thing to do with, like, it means something more than just two eyes and two ways of looking, two ways of seeing, or multiple ways of seeing. Don't know how you say that, but you can't help but read Bab, like Bab. The Celtic goddess Bab was the daughter of Ernemas, who and was also known to be a supernatural demon. Let's get demonic with the horns. In Celtic eschatology, Bab is the person who will cause the end of the earth. Well, to be honest, I've actually experienced an earthquake and everything shook, right? Everything shook, every single thing, and I actually felt even the air vibrated, my whole body, and it also actually felt like I could feel every single molecule kind of like separately, as if like I was like disintegrating. It was almost like that, like the end of the world feeling. Like there's all these earthquakes, and it's hard to explain unless you've been in an earthquake, but that is actually what it felt like. All these tiny little circled molecule things. It's like end of the world thing. And I'll have that one. If you don't want it, then don't have it. Bapt was also the Celtic goddess of enlightenment, inspiration, and wisdom. So we've got the Irish, like the crake, we've got the whole ideas and imagination in the astral plane. Or if you want to have him that way around, ideas. You've got to have some ideas to come up with that anyway in the first place. So, section 2 is Celtic gods and goddesses that have many a mighty tale tied to them. If you drop into our guidelines to either Irish folklore or Irish mythology, you will find endless tales and legends that involve some of the Celtic gods and goddesses below. From slightly creepier stories involving the Morrigan, it's like Marsden, isn't it? To stories of monumental battles involving Queen Maeve of Connaught. There are plenty little knots conning us in here, aren't they? Lots of knots, little round knots all over. They're conning the hell out of us. Being Lurg the trickster god. The Morrigan. Known as the Celtic goddess of war, the Morrigan is also known as Phantom Queen, or the Queen of Demons. She tells how she hovered over the battlefield in the form of a crow or raven. Morrigan could also predict who is going to win the battle. She appeared in front of Cuchulainn and Arya, but you didn't recognise her. Are we going to recognise her in this or what? There is a little figure there. Anyway, and there's another one there. There's it's not a very good print out, this, but I'm still managing to get through it. So we can have these got all the multiple characters in there. I need to get a really, really good. I need to see the actual one. I might buy the actual book, copy of the book, but I was looking at them a while back, and one of the really, really decent ones is quite expensive. The thing is, There's even a little guy there, like. I needed to. I'm doing well already. I'm not even going into the mega detail, and I think I've done it quite easily. So without the added detail, it's going to be even more easier. I think there's a family. There's a lot of family there even. So we don't go this way around that often, the way I do it. I'm not getting the crow in this. Maybe you're better than me, but I think someone's. How can all of the gods? It's like they're all associated with the crow. I don't know who threw that in. I think somebody took that in, because they ain't got the crow in here, and I think that the others fit so well that I get how they fit as well. I understand the whole thing. The only cross you get is the whole thing, but it's not straight. It's kind of curved. It's funny that they've got this picture, but it doesn't. Oh well, yeah, we've got the cross here, haven't we? With the kind of stalk that goes round. I might have to pass on crow, but the crow is not that. The god can go into the form of the crow or not. Battlefield. The thing is, right? If you want to say, okay, well, we'll do okay, well, like this is the battlefield. So if this is the battlefield, right, and if he's using his bow or sword, whatever, then wouldn't the crow be out of the picture, like where my hand is now, looking like it would be me looking down on it? Or if we want to go in that context and direction, it would be out of the box of the page, like there. If it was above the battlefield, if this is a battlefield and this is a battle going on, then it would be out of the picture. So I'm gonna call that one, just because I thought of it. Then you failed to recognise it. I didn't fail to recognise that there was a possibility of that if someone else thought it as well. Once he died, the Morrigan settled on his shoulder. Cuckoo chain, originally named Satan. Have they set up Cuckoo Chain, the heroes, to be Satan, who failed to recognise the Morrigan? You're joking me. Setanta. Cuckoo Chain was a hero of the famous Ulster cycle Irish mythology. Many will remember Cuckoo Chain as a heroic fighter. Thanks to his many battles, Cuckoo Chain was defender of Ulster, and to this day he remains the best known folk hero in Ireland. His actions were heroic, but as I mentioned before, Cuckoo Chain died after failing to recognise the goddess of war. Well, he failed to recognise the goddess of war. Certainly want to be, shouldn't it be Boudicca or Boudicca? I kind of prefer, I like Boudicca better, but it's meant to be Boudicca, isn't it? He defended Ulster. It does look a little bit more on the defensive side, but if you're an archer, then you can be an attacking, but you got a shield. Oh, Synonyrus. We've had Synonyrus anyway with the horns. I think we've pretty much done. I don't know. It's getting late now. I want to go to sleep. Next on the list is Sununurus, was arguably the more unusual of the Celtic god and goddesses. Sununurus was a horned god who was associated with nature and grain. Looks like a mouth stuffed with grain there. I don't think Sununurus was associated with grain. He's meant to be associated with animals and the woods, like in the Robin Hood tales, when Robin Hood goes into the forest and he's got that Herne the Hunter, you know. Grain wealth. I think that lied about a lot of these. Druids called him the honoured god, and Julius Caesar said it was this mythical being with the Roman underworld god Pan. Well, that is actually more the underworld under here, and Pan, you know. Many animals were sacred to Sununurus, including horned serpents, because all the serpent-shaped things in there. Even the guy's serpent, bull, stag, and ran. Why does it say ran? It also say ram. An interesting fact is that the ancient Celtic images portray him seated, naked, in a lotus position with either horns or antlers. Well, that's on the Gundestrup Cauldron, and I've been questioning the authenticity of that anyway. We don't know. This got stolen and taken to London. I hope they didn't add some more pages in or whatever. They wanted to see it to make a copy of it or whatever. We don't know, because they had it for a long time. I hope the people who had actually seen it knew that it hadn't been switcheroonied around when it got nicked that time. I think it was 1007 or something when it got stolen. There's one of those cairns. Mebda was the Queen of Connaught, because she's buried at the top of Knocknarin Sligo. Beg your pardon. Powerful, both physically and mentally. Mebda was a fierce and respected leader who led armies into battle on numerous occasions. Well, you got to be psychologically and mentally fierce with a face like that. The Tain Boculang is arguably the most captivating battle that this Celtic goddess was involved in. Yes, this was a battle for the bull. It wasn't the battle for the bull in the cauldron, if that cauldron was conjured up. Just popped out of the floor when they were fitting telephone cables in police chief's bathroom, and the speckled band, and Dr. Watson. What's on that, and Dr. Watson, the cauldron. It just happens to be a knight of the realm who hit it as well. The Celtic god Angus, not Anus, Angus. Is it just Angus? Angus was the son of the Dagda and river goddess Bion. Also known as Angus or Angus of the Bruig, he was the almighty god of youth and love. The story of Angus tells how he fought a beautiful maiden, unfortunately found one, and she was called Kai. Together with the 150 maidens, she was destined to turn into a swan. So Angus had to transform into a swan so he could unite with the love of his life. Well, that's funny, because in here, swans have a neck, don't the swans are known for having a long and windy neck, and it's also like he's transformed himself into a swan neck there. So we'll have that one, and we'll have youth. You see, the thing with this is when you've got the beard, you look old, and then when you switch it round, then you're looking younger again. So that's like a transformation of age. There are loads of maidens. There are lots of more characters we found in there, multiple ones. Together with the Calais. The Calais 7. I thought the Calais was only invented by somebody's at a certain time, wasn't actually one of the deities. Also known as the Hag of Berea. Is it? I realize Kelly's meant to be from the Indian god Kali, isn't it? It is a god, and it's not actually meant to be a name. When they start naming people that, it's actually from it goes all the way back to, it's one of the oldest deities Indo-European. Kali had a cool power, and that was to control the weather, and the seasons, they always have it to female form, but I like to think that the Indian Kali and the whole mother rebirth thing, kind of like the whole womb experience, which that could be a big messy womb experience of umbilicalness, umbilical cordness, if there ever was one. As whether in seasons she was one of the most powerful and oldest mythical beings in Ireland, and her myth is linked to the counties of Cork and Kerry. Kelly appeared as an old crone, and according to legend, she was responsible for the formations of many mountains and landmarks like the cliffs of Moher and Hags. And this is the thing. If she's responsible for the formation of many landmarks, then that's why we're getting onto these natural long barrow forms with our ancient sites, which is the topic of this petition that I'm doing and uploading this video and attaching it to. Which, and I said that didn't the natural forces form those hills, the wind and the rain and the earth and soil moving around them, and that's why they venerated these sacred long barrow things almost as if formed by this Kali, this deity, possibly even going back to the Indian gods, you know, like the Kali. But I don't necessarily which I don't think it's old crone, you know. I think it's contrary to that. You know, like when you've got Mary and the virgin birth, right? It's more. It's not necessarily like the word Kronos is meant to be like, you know, old woman time or whatever. It's more to do with like if you think of a clock and inside the clock there's all the cogs and all the, you know, complicated cogs and machinery parts. More like the formation of consciousness and womb thing. I don't think it's age related. It's kind of got more of a. It's more of a. It doesn't mean old. Old is a word for time, right? Old and new. Chronos. It's to do with time. It means timeless. It doesn't mean old or young. It just means kind of like maybe infinity, you know. And that's what this when you get into this, there is no time, so to say. It is timeless, and I know that for a fact. Let me tell you. You get Dennis McKenna will tell you. Bridget was the Celtic goddess of poetry, prophecy, healing, agriculture, and fire. She was actually a daughter of the Dagda and a member of the Tuatha Dé Danann. I'm not convinced about Bridget, because bridge and Bridget is an elongation, like the long barrow. And I kind of tend to think that a pole or a staff is more of a male thing, you know. But if this previous one here created, if you see, this is crazy, because if this Kali formed the landmarks, then could be Kali over the top of the long barrow, which is actually forming it with her hands, part of the natural forces. Which that's the you beauty, you know. So you know, Kali's the woman, female, timeless one who created the landmarks, like the natural formations. I think Bridget, being the expression, is more male, because a woman gives birth to a creature. The creature that the woman gives birth to, then is either male or female. Now the thing is that if this Kali nature, timeless deity, is the wind and the rain and everything, and you know, not only gives birth to both man and woman, but also, you know, the whole world and universe, then obviously if she can create the landmarks, then she can create the long barrows, but then she can also create the round female shaped barrows like Pegler's Tuft and like, you know, Cornwall Cairn, which is female shaped, like with the knobble over the top of the hole, you know what I mean? So you've got that as well. It's believed that Bridget has a couple of domesticated animals, including sheep, critters, frogs and eels and snails, Bridget was known for 3 aspects. Well, there were more than 3 aspects in that picture. The smith, the healer, and the poet. Some believe that Bridget was a triple deity. Triple deity! Some believe that she was a triple deity. How many deities you got in here? All of them! Sweet Mother Teresa! Since writing a guide to the Celts some time ago, we've seen an influx of queries about Celtic mythology gods. I've done my best to answer the fact below, but if you have any questions, please ask away in the comments section. Who are the best known Celtic mythology gods? This is like a tick the box, isn't it? How happy were you with this experience on a scale of 1 to 10? Please tick the box below. Moderately happy. Brigid, Queen Meb, Lug, Bab, and Dagda are some of the best known. Is there a Celtic gods and deity goddess list? Bridget, the Callie, Angus, Queen Meb, Synonos, the Cuckoo-Chain, the Morrigan, Babslug, Danu, Nanu. It's like Mark and Mindy, isn't it? Nanu. Deja Badnejavik. A thirsty traveller writer with a passion for weird street food and Aperol spirits and tropical islands. This site uses Ivy I put here, cast me don't put real name. This site uses Akismet to reduce spam. Learn how you're coming. I shouldn't have printed that out because that's the 8-page one. So I've done them all. I think they spent 75. Apparently it took them 70 years to make this. I think they made so like, okay, right, we're gonna do like this picture is going to be rad. It's going to be a rad picture. This, and see the other one. I'm not a great fan of the one with the throne. Not keen on that throne picture. I like this one because it's got everything in it, you know. So that was my little challenge, and I've done it. So, you know, see if we can get all the Celtic gods into this picture.